There's something about a match, about a game, about a team.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Football Manager 2018 with Zebu Nation. And as you may have noticed from the intro, we are back in MLS. The siren song of MLS has just kept me in the fold. You know, originally I had planned for my first series of FM18 to be somewhere in the world. I was going to take my talents and I was going to go to Scotland or England, somewhere in Europe, maybe Australia, maybe someplace exotic like South Korea or China. But, you know, I remembered in my beta videos that I talked about LAFC and I was going to take a look at them because I'm a big fan of expansion teams. I played the expansion clubs in FM17. I was very happy about how they handled the whole expansion process. I like the create a club where you just sort of build a club from the ground up. And I thought, you know what, I'll do my due diligence. I'll take a look at LAFC and see what they're all about. I'm not really an LA kind of guy, though, so I thought I'd take a look at and say, you know, they're not for me because they're all about, you know, in LA, they're all about Hollywood and glitz and glam and all that stuff. But the more I started doing research on this LAFC club, the more I kind of liked what they were all about. It looks like they're trying to build a team from the ground up, grassroots support from the community, from their academy, you know, bringing up young players and, you know, trying to build something rather than trying to just plop down, you know, a ready-made championship franchise or just bring in big stars and big name players and try to, you know, buy their way to a championship. It didn't seem like that's what LAFC was all about. Now, of course, they did have some high-profile investors, you know, Will Ferrell and Magic Johnson and people like that. But they're not really involved in the day-to-day of the club. They're just, you know, investors. They're just putting up some money. And I got nothing against Will Ferrell, and certainly nothing against Magic Johnson, who's, you know, a local celebrity from where I'm from. A legend, really. But, you know, that's not what I'm all about when it comes to managing and coaching. So LAFC, it looks like they're really trying to build from the ground up, and I'm all about that. So that siren song of starting a team from scratch really pulled me in, and we're going to play as LAFC for this foreseeable future, hopefully. Now I have to apologize to Bob Bradley, who was supposed to be the coach of LAFC, but he's going to move on to bigger and better things. You know, maybe they'll make him the manager of the U.S. national team, something like that. Who knows? Who knows? The future is bright for Bob Bradley, but we are taking over LAFC. Let's go to our email box. That's right. LAFC hire Zebu Nation as their new head coach. Let's take a look first at LAFC profile. 3-star, rich. That's pretty good for a team that has no real history at all. Take a look at said history. As you can see, nothing here. Club background. LAFC, a professional American club currently playing in the lower leagues. Not necessarily true, but, you know, that's probably the best they could figure because they don't exist right now. You know, they are basically an under 18 team, and that's about it. Anyway, the club play their home games at Bank of California Stadium and possess superb training facilities, great youth facilities. The club's training ground is the Bank of California Stadium. That's not necessarily true either. I looked that up. And, you know, they have adequate junior coaching, above average youth recruitment network. I want to improve that straight off the bat. If I'm going to build this team from our youth, we're going to have better than above average. We're going to have excellent, established recruitment network. Now, they are affectionately known as the Wings. So they don't have a mascot the way like the LA Galaxy. Well, not a mascot, but a nickname. The way the LA Galaxy, that's their name. They are the LA Galaxy. We are the LA Football Club, but we're also known as the Wings. So that's kind of more of like a traditional a European soccer nickname, not necessarily something that's built into the club like the way most American sports teams do it. Anyway, with no real history to date, the Wings are a club with a trophy cabinet waiting to be filled, and hopefully we can fill that. And take a look at our coach real quick. Not a lot going on here for Zebu Nation either. 23-year-old American born in Lansing, Michigan. Got a contract of $675,000 until December 31st of 2018. So that means we got about a 2-year contract, which is pretty standard. And hopefully we can get that extended pretty soon. The rest of our stats, not that exciting. You know, I just took the average basic stuff. I didn't add anything or move anything around. So we got, at least we're competent in all of the various areas: attacking, defending, fitness, tactical, and, player knowledge, adaptability, all that stuff. We are just average. And we know the United States of America and Alaska, and that is it. We know nothing about the rest of the world. So we're going to have to build a coaching staff that kind of helps us to find players and to scout other teams in other parts of the world. And that's really what taking over this kind of team is all about. It's all about building things. You got to build a roster. You got to build coaching staff, all that thing, all those kind of things. But what we don't have to build is a new stadium, because we have the Bank of California Stadium, brand new, built in 2018. So it's not even constructed yet. It's not even finished yet. But it will be, hopefully, by MLS season time. It's a modest 22,000-seater. But really, that's the only thing that's modest about it. The rest of it is, like, luxurious. They've got, it's going to have its own bar, its own pub that overlooks the field, so that, they wanted the feel of the ability to go to the pub to watch the game, but also go to the game to watch the game. So you have the best of both worlds. You have that pub atmosphere, but you'll be at the game. And then they've got 2 or 3 levels of executive club seating that overlooks, they got cushy chairs and couches and beds and waterfalls and all kinds of crazy stuff. But then they also have stuff for the diehard fans and the supporters and the regular seating section. They're going to have a stand-up wall on one end of the stadium for the diehard supporters to be able to stand all game. And they're going to have, all kinds of amenities and everything you could want for in a modern American sports stadium. I think this is going to be the real model going forward. I was talking about in previous videos about the stadium arms race. And this is like a nuclear bomb in that stadium arms race. I mean, this is a state-of-the-art, flashy, amenity-filled stadium, like even Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the new stadium in Atlanta. That's a dual-purpose stadium. That's American football and soccer stadium. This is pure soccer stadium, and it is state-of-the-art. And other teams around the league are going to be very, very jealous of this stadium, so long as we can fill it up with fans. Let's see. I guess that's about it for the club there. Other than, we'll go down the checklist in a minute. But first, let's take a look at our emails. Of course, we got the welcome email. We can attend the meeting and all that stuff. This is an email a lot of times you skip over. This is the transfer update email. And normally you look at it and you say, okay, we got some guys on loan. We got a future transfer. Okay, fine. But this is our entire team right here. For LAFC, we got no players other than these 4 guys. And we're going to start with our big future transfer here, Carlos Vela. Click on this guy. 27-year-old Mexican international player, has 43 caps and 14 goals for the Mexican national team. And you look at this guy, he's really good. Really good. 16 pace, 15 finishing, 16 first touch. I mean, this guy, he's got to be the best or one of the top 5 players in MLS immediately. And what we're hoping for from this guy is he's going to be our Giovinco. He's going to be our David Villa. He's our guy who's going to be the superstar to carry the team and to really make a big splash with LAFC. So we're going to have to build our team around this guy, surround this guy with players who can get him the ball, and then hopefully play defense behind him, and so he doesn't have to play any defense. We just use this guy to score goals. That's what Carlos Vela is all about. You look at his history. Played for the last several years in Spain with Real San Sebastian. Pretty good. Played 35 games the last 2 seasons. Not a ton of scoring in the last few seasons, but he has scored big in previous years. He started out at Chivas way back when in 06, moved to Arsenal. So he's been all around the world. He's played in big leagues and big games, and now he's coming to MLS as really one of the top players. So that's a very good start for our team. Then we got a couple of lesser known guys. We got Rodrigo Pacheco, 20-year-old Argentinian. He's a winger. He's got crossing. He's got pace. Really, he's a setup man. Let's be real about this guy. He's got some decent passing, decent decision making, some flair, but really you put this guy on the wing and you tell him get the ball to Vela. Hopefully that's what he's going to do. So Pacheco is going to be our setup man, probably on the right-hand side. Monday, a team. This is an interesting fella, 18-year-old Nigerian, so hopefully he's got some room to grow. He's pretty good, pretty pacey, heading. This is definitely a developmental type guy. That's why he's out on loan to Orange County right now, who's our affiliate team. And then Carlos Alvarez, 26-year-old attacking midfielder. He can also play on the right-hand side or the center. And he's just your average sort of MLS quality dude. 12 passing, 12 off the ball, 12 pace, 12, 12. 12's everywhere. This guy, his number should be 12 because that's what he averages out to be, a 12. So, we got some work to do roster-wise. Take a look at our squad. 3 players and a bunch of, no names, scrubbinis. These guys are going to be replaced automatically. They're just here, if you happen to play a friendly, you can throw out these random dudes. Like, I don't know if these are just guys we'd pick up off the street or what. But anyway, they are of no consequence because they're not real players. So there we go. This is the team we have. Now we'll run down the checklist a little bit, and we'll start with the academy. We're going to have to scout our own academy because we don't have any coaches at the moment or scouts to look at these guys. But we're going to have to pin a lot of our hopes on this academy club. And hopefully some of these guys are pretty good. Hopefully some of these guys are decent. It's hard to tell with 16-year-olds. It's all about potential with the 16. Oh, that's a guy. 14 to 20 teamwork, 12 to 18 work rate. That's pretty good for a 16-year-old. Anyway, we're going to have to scout these guys and figure out which of them we're going to play. Because if there's a guy here with like 4-star potential, we'll probably put him up in the first team and at least train him up in the first team and then, play him later. Finances, pretty good, like really good. 49 million in the bank, 11.99999 transfer budget. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Payroll 6.69. We're currently spending 186,000 of 6.69 million. So we got a lot of room to grow with this team, and we got the finances to do it. I mean, of starting MLS clubs, this has got to be the best. When you pick a new MLS club, if they've got more than $50 million in the bank, I would be shocked. If they had much higher than a $12 million transfer budget, I would also be shocked. Payroll, very good. So financially, incredibly good to start off with LAFC. The board, job security is, of course, stable. We don't have any... we haven't had our meeting yet, so we haven't discussed any of these kind of options, but the board is pretty solid. Let's take a look at the board members. Henry Wynn is owner. Larry Berg is also the owner. According to their website, he is the lead managing owner, so he's the guy you'd probably talk to more than anything else. Peter Gruber, president. Tom Penn, managing director. So they must have a bunch of different directors, and he's like the managing director. I don't see him on... Oh, there he is. No, Tom Penn, according to their website, is the president and owner. So that's a little bit more than the managing director, or maybe that's the European equivalent, and they just didn't translate that for FM. Anyway, director John Thorington. Don't see that name on the list. All right, so we got pretty good ownership, and we will have a very good relationship with these people. We looked at the club. Now, problem with taking this team is that you got a lot of downtime off the bat. As you see here is February of 2017. That's the latest I could start this save. And we don't play a game until January of 2018. So we got pretty much a whole year to go through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop it here, going to pause it, and we're going to look to build a roster, look to build a team, look to build a staff. Do we have any staff members? We have one chief doctor. Nick Keene is our only staff member, so we got a lot of work to do here. Obviously, squad dynamics, we got nothing. We got no social groups. We got no hierarchy. We got me at the top. 0 players support you. There are no players. So we got a lot of work to do. I'm going to pause it here, come back, and take a look at what we've built for Season 1 of LAFC. Okay, we are back. It's been about a year. It is now January of 2018, and this is what we've managed to acquire in that time. I mean, it's been a lot of emails. It's been a lot of scouting, hiring, a lot of, going on vacations to just pass the time. But we have managed to assemble what I think is a pretty good team, at least the beginnings of a team. We still got some pieces to put in place. But what I decided to do was I didn't want to go out and make a bunch of transfers right off the start. I didn't want to go and spend all that money, bring players in, because we're still establishing our scouts and we're still trying to figure out the rest of the world. So I figured I would focus on the mechanics that the MLS has that allows us to bring in players. So that allowed us to just kind of scout the MLS and scout the USA, the players that we were used to, the players that we were familiar with, bring those players in, and work on scouting the rest of the world in the coming seasons. So we've gone through, let's run through the various sundry drafts of MLS. We've gone through the December re-entry draft, the December waiver draft. We've gone through the expansion draft. And we got a couple of more drafts coming up. We've got the MLS SuperDraft coming up. We have the March waiver draft coming up as well. So we're not done building the roster, but we've made some good moves here. We brought some dudes up from our academy, just like I said we would, just like we wanted to do. We wanted to build this club from the ground up. And there we go. And of course, we got our one big transfer, Carlos Vela. So let's look at our dynamics now. Our hierarchy is looking a little different now. We actually have some players in there. And we only have one team leader, Carlos Vela. Obviously, he's the star player. Take a look at him again. But his leadership isn't that great. So we need to move some other leaders up into that stratosphere here. We have no highly influential players because the season just started. People don't know their roles. They don't know who's going to be in the playing group and who's going to be the most influential kind of guys. Got some interesting social groups here. We've got our core social group, which are pretty much the MLS veteran type guys. Guys who have been in the league that we brought in at the various different drafts. And, they're sort of the core of our group. Then we have a secondary social group of players from our academy. And these are all youngsters who we brought up. And then we've got, some more social groups. We got to work on Vela here. He is in the others group. A lot of our better players are in the other group. So we got to work on moving these guys up into these other social groups. Now let's take a look at this squad. Take a look at, we got our attacking tactics, the 4-1-2-3 DM wide. That's what we're using. And so far, this is our starting lineup. We got Zach Steffen. He was one of the players we got from the expansion draft. 22-year-old American goalkeeper. This kid, he gets shipped around a lot in MLS season. So chances are, if you've played an MLS season, there's chances that Zach Steffen has been your goalkeeper. And he's a pretty good goalkeeper. So that's why a lot of these teams, especially the expansion teams, will go out and get this kid because he's young, he's got potential, and he's pretty good. And we got a lot of veterans on the defensive backfield. I really sort of put a lot of effort into drafting a lot of guys on the defense. Nick Hagelin, 25 years old. Jared Watts, 25 years old. These guys are not great. They're just sort of your standard MLS caliber defenders. Here's Hanico Clark from Jamaica. Hopefully, this guy can improve. He's 6'4", only 22 years old. Great jumping reach strength, great heading, tackling. He needs to work on his marking, but other than that, he's a pretty solid central defender. We're hoping he can improve. He's got 3-star ability. Dave Romney, 24-year-old left defender. He's a guy, again, with he's got more potential than I think he's got time left. So I don't know how much this guy's really going to improve at 24 years old. It says he has 3.5-star potential, but I don't know that I believe that. But for the time being, he's perfectly acceptable. He's another one of those guys that are like 12s up and down his stats. Midfield's a bit of a mess. We got several guys out there kind of playing out of position, and they don't really fit in the style that we want to play in the midfield, but they're kind of the best guys we could find at the moment. We got Akogu, 26-year-old. He was our last pick in the expansion draft, but he's, solid dude, 12s all over the field. He's captain average, Mr. 12, all that stuff. Scott Caldwell, 26-year-old. He can play defensive midfielder or central midfielder. Segundo Volante is his number 1 role, but we've got him playing at the Mazzala role. He can get forward. He can do a few things. He's got stamina to run all day, so good for him. Marky Delgado, another 22-year-old, another guy who gets bounced around MLS saves quite a bit. He's got 14 pace, which is really good for a midfielder in MLS. And other than that, he's pretty average. 15 work rate, though, is pretty good. Again, for our sort of ball-winning type midfielder, you want a guy who can run around and make tackles, and that's kind of what he can do. Then we get to the core of our team, sort of the exciting part of our team. We looked at Pacheco earlier. He is our setup man out there on the right wing. He's going to be sending crosses over to our 2 superstars. Now, I'd mentioned before Carlos Vela, 28 years old, so he's got a few years left in him, but he's one of the best players in MLS right now. Pace, agility, acceleration, flair, off the ball, vision, technique, dribbling, finishing, first touch, all that stuff, top level for MLS. But we got a steal in the expansion draft with our first pick. We stole Hector Villalba, Argentinian, 23 years old, from Atlanta United. This guy is really good. He's a long shot specialist. He's a sniper. He's a 3-point shooter. And, he's another just a star player for MLS. He's got that pace, that acceleration, agility, all the same things that Vela has. He just has them a notch below Vela. He's still really good. He's going to be an outstanding player. We're going to play him at the inside forward on the left-hand side. And, the 2 of those guys together, they're going to score us a lot of goals. Now, we had one match that we've played so far. Look on the schedule. We played Herediano, a Costa Rican professional team, 2-star. This is the kind of caliber team we might see in the Champions League, the first or second round in the Champions League. So it's okay to play against a team like this early, and we played pretty well. Got a 2-1 victory. It should have been a little better. if I'm real with you. We scored some goals early, and we got up on them, and we got a little complacent. But this first goal is going to show you why we're so excited about this team. Here's Vela down the middle. He's all by himself. He's looking for support. Nah, he's going to do it by himself, Holmes. Look at that. Look at that. I've never seen a play like that in MLS. Nobody does that in MLS. Just goes right around their whole defense. Then here's our second goal. It's a bit of more of a team goal. Caldwell setting it up to Pacheco, using that crossing ability to Villalba. I want to see that all season long. That's what I want to see. Game after game. Pacheco to Villalba. Goals. And then here's the goal against that we gave up. It was late in the match. We had some substitutes in on defense, but still, this is kind of unacceptable. Shows a bit of a lacking on our defensive end. Not a lot of foot speed back there. And we got beat on the counter pretty easily there. You can look at the analysis real quick. You can see our heat map was all over the offensive side of the field. Getting the ball down the middle and on the right-hand side. It's pretty good. That's pretty much what we want it to be. And take a look at the team analysis, summary. We played pretty well. I was kind of hoping for the stats. But anyway, we played pretty well. We got a couple of goals from Villalba and Vela. And that's really, hopefully that's a microcosm of our season. We want to see those two guys scoring goals in bunches, and if that happens, we're going to have a very, very successful season. All right, let's get out of here. And the next thing on our list is we've got the MLS SuperDraft. Now, I'm not going to show you this whole thing, but, you know, all the preparation that has gone into this has been most of our January and December, honestly, have been getting ready for the MLS SuperDraft. We've been scouting these guys. We've been going to the combine, just scouting them nonstop. Go to our scouting section here. Go to our players. And we're actually, if you look at our search, we're actually able to search for those declared for the upcoming MLS SuperDraft. Right up there, declared for the MLS SuperDraft. We're actually able to search on that this year, so that's outstanding. And we've got a fine crop of players this year. Pretty good, a lot of potential, a lot of guys with 3.5, 4-star potential. 3-star potential guys are even, you know, good enough to draft, especially a guy like this, like David Marias. You know, 2.5-star to start out with, 3-star potential, possibly even more than that in the dark stars here. That's a perfect guy to draft for MLS, because if you need to play him, if you need a guy at this position, you draft this guy, because 2.5 stars is adequate enough to play in MLS, and then if you play him and he gets this, you know, improved ability, he's going to be a fine player for you. But I wanted to show you this list because there's obviously one guy who's head and shoulders above everyone else, Alan Martinez. Look at this guy. We haven't scouted him fully. We've only scouted him 50%, but basically that's because he knows he's the best prospect in the draft, so he didn't really go to the draft combine. He's a Generation Adidas player. We just haven't been able to get solid numbers on this guy, but he is head and shoulders above everybody else in the draft. And that's important because we've got the #1 draft pick. And we're going to draft this guy because we need more players in the midfield. This guy's the best player. We're going to pick him. So, continue. Here is the draft. And this is how we set it up here. You go to your scouting. And that shows you, you know, the players that you have scouted. And as you can see, got a couple of options. These are Generation Adidas players. So they're already, you know, designated as the best players. Jeff Pugh, we could pick a goalkeeper. He's pretty decent goalkeeper, but we've already got a 22-year-old goalkeeper, so there's no need to pick up a 21-year-old goalkeeper. We need Alan Martinez. And then the other thing, oh, I forgot. The other thing you set up here is drafted equals no. Hello. Drafted equals no. There you go. So we're going to draft this guy, #1 overall, There you go. There's our big signing. Are you sure you want to pick Alan Martinez? Absolutely. So we're going to go through this draft, and we've got several draft picks over here. Here's our draft information. Now, we get the first pick in every round, so that's pretty good. We get the first pick overall, the 24th pick overall. That's the first pick in the second round. 41st pick in the second round because we made a trade. We traded one of our international slots away for a second and fourth round pick. So we've got 2 seconds, 2 fourths, and a third. And we're going to pick these guys. We're going to pick 6 new players to add to our roster. And we'll come back and show you those guys and then play our first match when we return. All right. So, yeah. Pause. Okay, we're back. The Super Draft is over. And as you can see here, Alan Martinez was taken with the first pick overall by LAFC. That's us. So that was a good pick. But overall, we did not grade very well in the draft. Down here at a D. Now, the computer never really likes my draft picks for some reason. I think it's because I pick on potential more than like immediate starting impact. So look at all these guys that got A pluses up here. I don't know what that's all about, but whatever it is, they didn't like our picks. So let's take a look at our picks and see what they didn't like about them. Transfer history. So obviously the first pick, Alan Martinez, we showed you that. This guy's outstanding. 6'2" central midfielder. He's more of an attacking midfielder, but we're going to play him in the central midfield and use him as the advanced playmaker role. He's got fitness and jumping reach. His physicals overall are really good, other than strength and agility, but everything else is top notch. His mental attributes are very good. 14 determination, 15 work rate, 15 passing for his technicals, free kick taking, first touch. So this guy, he's going to be an immediate starter for us. We're going to put him in on the central midfield and play this guy. No doubt about it. The rest of the guys, though, they're going to be sort of spot duty guys. And we'll just run through them real quickly. Skylar Munoz, 21-year-old winger. He's just your average winger. 14 pace, 15 acceleration is pretty good. 17 flair is really good. His technicals are okay as well. 14 technique. 15 free kick, 11 crossing and cornering can be, improved. But for 21-year-old, he's pretty good, and hopefully he can get better. Craig Williams, 22-year-old defensive fullback. Here's a guy, we just sort of took him as the best available guy. He can play on that right-hand side. It looks like he could make an offensive fullback out of this guy. He's got 9 crossing. We can improve that. Marking and tackling also need to be improved. But he's got good physicals, really good mentals, bravery, decisions, determination, work rate. All that stuff is really good. So here's a guy we can plug in if we need him. No problems. He should be able to work for us at this level. Here's a guy I looked at earlier. I think I showed you this guy, David Marias, as a guy who you can just pick up and plug in because he's got some MLS quality abilities. But I realized why this guy fell in the draft, and I picked him up as a 4th round draft pick when he was a guy I was looking at that could be possibly a 1st round draft pick. And the reason he slid down to the 4th round is because his physicals aren't that great. But more importantly than that, his personality. He's a temperamental dude. He argues with the referees, so you got to worry about this guy maybe messing with your squad dynamics. So if he starts to be a problem, if he starts to get all kinds of yellow cards and messes things up in the locker room, I'm just going to get rid of him. But I took a flyer on him in the 4th round and, might get a good player out of this. Again, he's another midfielder, and we could use some depth in the midfield. Jonathan Smith, a striker, 21 years old. He's a false 9, which isn't really what I was looking for. But I couldn't find a better striker in the draft, or at least that was available to me. I believe he was a 2nd round pick. Anyway, he was the best guy I could find. I had fully scouted him, so I knew what I was getting here. What's wrong about this guy is his technicals are not very good, particularly finishing of only 9, heading of only 10. So this guy's not going to score goals for us. That's why he's a false 9 and not, a target man or something like that. But other than that, hopefully we can train up his technicals and maybe he'll be a useful player for us. He's got very good mental abilities, leadership, teamwork, work rate, physicals are also pretty good. 15 strength is very good for a 21-year-old. 14 pace, agility, acceleration. So he's got the groundwork to be a good player. It's just his technical abilities are not there. So hopefully we can train him up. And then finally, my last pick in the draft, Jacob Hardy, central defender. He was injured at the time of the draft, so that made his draft stock fall a little bit. But even so, he's not a great player. But just for him to be available in the 4th round, I guess was a bit of a steal. No, maybe not a steal, but a value, a bargain. Anyway, 6'6" central defender, 17 jumping reach, 11 pace is good enough, balance, acceleration, bravery, aggression, work rate. So this guy is going to go after the ball in the air. There's no question about that. He can defend the skies on that back line. And where he lets down, of course, is technically a lot of these draftees let you down technically. Although he does have 14 marking, which is very good, but his heading and tackling are only 11 and 10 respectively. So again, he's another project, another guy who, if he gets better, he can be a useful guy. That's kind of what you get out of the MLS SuperDraft, is you get guys with potential, and if you can play them, if you can train them up, then they can be useful MLS guys. If not, you know what? There's another crop of draftees coming in next year, so you can drop them and pick up new guys or pick up guys from your academy or whatever. And speaking of academy, we picked up one more guy, George Negrete from our academy, 17-year-old winger, 15 pace, pretty good, 16 aggression, 14 teamwork. Again, we got to work on his technicals, but he's only 17 years old. So we're bringing him up just, as a guy to have on the team for preseason, and then we'll loan him out, and hopefully he gets some experience someplace else. All right, speaking of preseason, we played another preseason match. This time we put all of these guys in there. We put all of these rookies and draftees and all that stuff, and we lost to Aguila 2-1 in a friendly. This was not really what it was supposed to be, how it was supposed to turn out. But when you put a whole team full of rookies and stuff in there, this is what you're going to get. Look at these ratings. Tim and Munoz, 6.1 on the backside. 6.2 for Aguilar. 6.3 for Rocklets. So we played a pretty poor game. We can look at the highlights such as they were. And this was just a game where we had no scoring ability. Nobody who could really finish. We have Thacker here, a 17-year-old, taking a penalty kick. It was the worst penalty I've ever seen in terms of how that came across. Here's at the end of the first half, Ramos breaking in, and he just goes wide around our defense, and then our central defense just is not paying attention because they're a bunch of teenagers. So that was a pretty easy goal. And then finally they sort of put the nail in the coffin in the second half with a long run. Here's Ramos again, just beating our central defense back, and then just an easy goal there against our young goalkeeper. So it's one of those things that's, I guess, to be expected in many ways to lose a friendly like that. I mean, Aguila is a decent club. Take a look at them. 2-star from El Salvador. Again, this is a team you'd expect to play in a Champions League kind of game, early rounds, not late rounds. Late rounds, you're getting Mexican teams. Anyway, it's not unexpected to lose, but you would hope for a better performance from your young players. But we've only had them for a couple of days, and we throw them out there. So this will get better. This isn't our team as it is. We got a lot of friendlies. We got a lot of things to look at. We're going to look at getting reserve striker, reserve left winger are our top priorities left for this offseason. So I guess we'll end the video there since we have our roster pretty much set. I don't want to keep pausing and coming back all this time. We've got a pretty decent starting squad, and we'll come back in a few matches for our preseason spectacular and show you what this team can really do, because we got some interesting friendlies coming up on the schedule. We've got 2 big-time teams from Brazil coming up, FLA and BOT. So we'll show those, and they'll be at our home stadium, so we can take a look at that tremendous stadium and all its amenities and everything. So we'll come back for that next episode, and then we'll start the MLS season, and hopefully LAFC can make some noise in its first season in MLS. So until next time, please like and subscribe if you feel like it. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers just so I can get a real URL for my YouTube channel. So please do that if you wish, and if not, I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.